Mahomaganotimirandasya Niranjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupagada Mayam Dadati Swabharanti Sam Mondeham Siguro Sijuta Parakamalam Sigurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatan Vitantang Sajivam Padvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitangsha He Krishna Karuna Sindha Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Pranamami Hori Priye Panchakapachu Vasha Kripa Sindhu Vivacha Patiranam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudidayet Nasta Presho Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevaya Bhagavad Utamash Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Right, today, Thursday, December 12th, 2024, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 25. What is it called? The Characteristics of King Puranjana. Text number 22. Sunasam Sudatim Balam Rukapolam Varananam Samavinyashta Karnabhyam Vibratim Kundalashriyam Sunasam Sudatim Balam Rukapolam Vanaranam Samavinyasta Karnabhyam Vibratim Kundalashriyam Sunasam Sudatim Balam Sukapolam Varananam Samavinyasta Karnabhyam Vibratim Kundalashriyam
Sunasam Sudatim Balam
Sunasam Sudatim Balam
Sukapolam Varananam
Sukapolam Varananam
Samavinyasta Karnabhyam Vibratim Kundalashriyam
Vibratim Kundalashriyam Sunasam Sudatim Balam Olam Varananam Samavinyasta Karnabhyam Vibratim Kundalashriyam Sunasam Sudatim Balam Sukapolam Varananam Samavinyashta Karnabhyam Vibratim Kundalashriyam
Sunasam Sudatim Balam
Sunasam Sudatim Balam Sukapolam Varananam Samavinyashta Karnabhyam Vibratim Kundalashriyam
Sunasam Sudatim Balam
Sunasam Sudatim Balam Sukapolam Varananam Samavinyashta Karnabhyam Vibratim Kundalashriyam. The synonyms, please repeat. Sunasam. Very beautiful nose. Sudatim. Very beautiful teeth. Balam. The young woman. Sukapolam. Nice forehead. Nice forehead, baby. I hear that one in the advertising room. Varaananam.
Ananam.
Beautiful face.
Beautiful face.
Sama.
Sama.
Equally.
Equally.
Vinyasta.
Vinyasta.
Arranged.
Arranged.
Karnabhyam.
Anabhyam.
Both ears.
Both ears.
Oh, those are so nicely arranged. Vibratim.
Vibratim.
Dazzling.
Dazzling.
Kundala Shriyam.
Kundalashiyam.
Having beautiful earrings.
Having beautiful earrings.
Translation. The woman's nose, teeth were all very beautiful. Her ears were equally very beautiful and were bedecked with dazzling earrings. Please repeat. The woman's nose, teeth, and forehead
The woman's nose, teeth, and forehead
were all very beautiful.
were all very beautiful.
Her ears were equally very beautiful
Her ears were equally very beautiful,
and were bedecked with dazzling earrings.
and were bedecked with dazzling earrings.
Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. And this purport is a surprise after you read the verse and think, oh yes, I'm liking this description of a beautiful woman. And then it goes right into it. The body of intelligence enjoys the objects of sense gratification that cover it, such as smell, hearing. The word sunasam, beautiful nose, indicates the organ for acquiring knowledge by smell. Similarly, the mouth is the instrument for acquiring knowledge by taste. For by chewing an object and touching it with the tongue, we can understand its taste. The words sukapolam, nice forehead, indicates a clear brain, capable of understanding things as they are. By intelligence, one can set things in order. The earrings set upon the two ears are placed there by the work of the intelligence. Thus, the ways of acquiring knowledge are described metaphorically. So you think you're enjoying a nice description about a beautiful woman, but then actually it's an analogy of the conditioned soul engaged within the material body and how he or she uses the knowledge acquiring senses. So it's quite philosophical, as we always get from Srila Prabhupada. Sunasam sudatim balam tukapolam vararnanam samavinyasta karnabhyam vibratim kundala shriyam. The woman's nose, teeth, and forehead were all very beautiful. Her ears were equally very beautiful and were bedecked with dazzling earrings. Mukum karoti bachalam ongam laga ite gidim ajat kripa tamaham bande srigurum dilatarinum. I should have Prabhupada. So we're getting a very poetically and image-wise beautiful sound vibration from Srimad Bhagavatam, but the meaning is actually very deep and beyond what an ordinary person who is a sense enjoyer would think. A sense enjoyer would think, oh yeah, let me hear about a beautiful woman. But actually what we're hearing about is an analogy that leads us to self-realization by understanding, first of all, the difference between the body and the soul, and then also secondarily, and perhaps more importantly, because most of us already accept the difference between the body and the soul, is the understanding of the particular engagement and entanglement of the spirit soul in this body, and the huge conundrum that arises from that situation, and that it is a conundrum that plunges us into unlimited anxiety and suffering. which is antithetical to our very existence as spirit soul. The spirit soul is anandamaya bhyasat, is naturally a pleasure-seeking living entity who, in the pure spiritual condition, is not subject to the temporal conditions of suffering that we encounter in the material world as we progress through these different bodies, being frustrated and trying to seek out some type of happiness or a permanent situation to enjoy, but not finding it. And of course, we are all fond of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement that, where he says, calling out in the voice of Lord Chaitanya, this life is temporary and filled with various types of misery. So why do you waste your time just decorating your body? Better you worship the Lord of the heart by chanting the holy names. So aside from the nature of suffering, of which we all have some sufficient experience, I would say, all of us in this room at least, no one is below a certain age. You're certainly of the age of majority. You have suffered in life. You're old enough to know, although a child may not understand. But beyond just the nature of the suffering, if you analyze it, just the whole fact of the temporality of our existence in these bodies, that itself is a type of suffering for us, because we are not temporary. We are eternal beings. And for the eternal living entity to be subject to temporal conditions, that is a big frustration, because you want to live forever and enjoy forever. Like our friend Mahatma Prabhu has one recording called Stay High Forever. So, which was actually taken from a pamphlet that was written by the devotees, I think particularly Hayagriva, in 1966, when at Prabhupada's first temple there in New York, 26 2nd Avenue, that was one flyer they had produced for distribution on the street, Stay High Forever. So all the young people were trying to enjoy, but even beyond just mere gratification of the senses, they were trying to find their identity through intoxication, as if it were a key to self-realization, which it is not, by the way. Everyone should be very clear on that point. So, yes, we just want to get high. Well, how about stay high forever, but without intoxication? Well, how do you do that? Okay, how are you getting high without intoxication? And there's that story told about the devotees who are doing Harinam in LA. And I think it was a woman was watching the Harinam party and saw the devotees dancing blissfully in the midst of the urban strife. And she said to a devotee, whatever it is you guys are taking, I want some of that. Because that really looks good. You are really enjoying, which is true, enjoying chanting the holy names. Not that we chant the holy name for the purpose of enjoyment. We chant the holy name for the purpose of service. But because we're in the service of the supreme enjoyer, then naturally enjoyment is derived from a life of Krishna consciousness. Not that we're seeking sense gratification, but we're tasting the spiritual happiness of that rasa, that exchange of love with Krishna. Because Krishna, he is the reservoir of pleasure, the reservoir of love. And he is existing on that platform of love and loving relationship. And when we revive our relationship, then we taste that love. And there's nothing like it. There's nothing better. Therefore, I want what you guys got. they're thinking it's a little baggie or a little package or something. Get me some of that. I want some of that stuff that you guys got. Yes, but to get that taste, then the main thing is you have to know that you have to give up sense gratification. It seems like a contradiction. How can you enjoy by giving up sense gratification? But if you want to really taste the spiritual, the eternal, which is the highest type of happiness, Bhagavad Gita describes how one becomes situated in that boundless transcendental happiness. And then one thinks there is no greater gain, which is a fact. That is the statement of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. And that is the experience of the devotee. That yes, I get a taste of this Krishna consciousness. There's nothing like it to be had, out in the street or in the books of the world that are not transcendental books like Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna conscious literature. No, I can't get it any other way. But therefore, Lochan Das says that Vishayachariya Serase Muje, Serase Majia, Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari. That Vishayachariya, Vishaya, sense gratification, the only restriction in Krishna consciousness, you just have to give up your sense gratification and surrender and serve Krishna. And Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari, with your mouth chant Hari Hari, chant the holy name, chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And then that taste, you will get that taste that is beyond the taste of anything. And it is said that the taste of Brahman realization is like 1 billion times better than any kind of taste of sense gratification that you can get. But that taste of Brahman realization, it's nothing compared to the taste of serving Krishna, of serving Krishna's lotus feet. So that's the catch. What's the catch, okay? Like it sounds like a good deal. Enjoy life forever, stay high forever. I'll take it. What's the catch? Vishayachariya. You have to give up sense gratification. Then say rasa majia. Then you can taste the rasa with Krishna. And then, but for an ordinary person, it's like, well, you mean I got to give up my sense gratification? Like my beer, my cigarettes, and my coffee, and my meat, and my sex life, and what? I can't do it. Or like it was one of the Marquis de Zetland in Britain, talking with the sannyasi disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Well, Swami, you can make me a Brahmin? And he's a lord, which means rich man, living big mansion. Although those big mansions in England can be very cold in the winter and very difficult to heat. And he has servants, and he has money to get all the things he likes, cigars from Cuba and this and that, and everything that a lordly gentleman could possibly desire to satisfy his senses, the finest bourbon and wine from France and this and that. So you can make me a Swami, a Brahmana? Oh, yes. It is not very difficult. Really? You have to do 4 things. Give up intoxication, illicit sex, meeting, and gambling. Oh, impossible. I'm a British lord. This is our very life. These things, this is only things we do. Just like we used to live in the Philadelphia Temple, and about an hour's drive away was Atlantic City, which is a place of gambling, like Las Vegas, except it's on the ocean, and there's a boardwalk there. But on the boardwalk, most people, when they go there, within 5 minutes or less, they've broken all the 4 regulative principles: meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, and gambling. That's why they go there. But we would go there for a different purpose, to chant the holy name. And then one year we had a racha on the boardwalk there. And So we were trying to get permission from the city to enter there. And they were like resisting vociferously. They did not want Hare Krishna Rath Yatra on their boardwalk. So then we said, okay, we'll just have our lawyer give you a call. And then the lawyer, I think it was Amarindra or one of the, ISKCON LA devotee lawyers, called them. And since they got the call from the lawyer, okay, whatever you want. They immediately, they know they've been outgunned and they just surrendered. So we had Rath Yatra there. And it was pretty cool. On the boardwalk, Lord Jagannath's chariot, and the festival on the beach. That was really wonderful. As Rath Yatra always is. Even when the conditions like the conditions we had the Rath Yatra in this year, the weather was less than favorable, but still the Rath Yatra was ecstatic. And I was, bundled up in that tent, serving out the prasad, the hood, you can barely see the face, the hood all drawn tight. But still it was ecstatic. Those people, that was really wonderful. And they're so grateful that they're donating a few $100s actually. Many 20s were in there. That's, we were talking, we said, that's not the same as our Sunday feast crowd for sure. Yeah, the Sunday feast crowd, you can see my through and throw a couple of quarters in there if you're lucky. A few dollar bills, occasional 5. Every once in a while a 20. But the people were really feeling the mercy of Krishna consciousness in the form of that nice hot prasadam on the cold, rainy day, and extremely grateful. And we're not asking for money, but here's the donation box there, and people are throwing in, and Chandrika's there chanting, "Thank you for your donation," to encourage them. And so they're very grateful to get that. And that is just part of the wonderful nectar of Krishna consciousness, distributing Krishna consciousness, giving that prasad to those people. And sometimes people don't understand the transcendental nature of prasadam and Krishna consciousness. Like there was one lady yesterday. "Do you work here?" It's out by the bird cage. Well, she'd been around a long time, and she was all like, as if she were in charge and knew everything better than everybody. "Yes, you've let all the birds out, and I thought these were all rescue birds, and what about this, and what about that, and this and that," and a very unpleasant person to be around. It's like, "Hey lady, the birds are cool." I mean, she comes for the prasad. I guess she came for the prasad. Maybe she just came to criticize the birds and the way we deal with it. But it was someone who clearly was missing the point of how we're presenting Krishna consciousness. But most people are not like that at all. Most people are like, "Oh, I love this place. I love you guys. I love the food. Everyone here is so nice. The atmosphere is so good." Most people, they appreciate that. And they were, it was in Los Angeles. There they have a restaurant also. And they're analyzing the temple, and the managers analyzing and trying to understand what is it that people like. Why do people come here? And they're thinking, oh, it's because the prasadam is so good. But the number one thing that people said when they asked him was, "We just love the atmosphere here." So that is the atmosphere of Krishna consciousness, that they just love it. Because why do they love it? Because they're spirit souls and they're part and parcel of Krishna. And because it is a manifestation of Krishna, therefore there's natural attraction. Nothing is more attractive than Krishna. Therefore there's that verse spoken by Parashara Muni, Aishvarya yasya samagrasya viryasya yasya shriya jnana vairagya yoschaiva shanan magamitingana. That Bhagavan means, Bhaga means opulence, Van means one who possesses. That is the most attractive thing. Everyone is attracted to different opulences, thinking that this is very nice. But Bhagavan is the most attractive because he is the Shanam Bhagamitingana. He is the possessor of all the opulences. And he not only, like someone may be very rich or someone may be very famous or someone may be very smart, but when you have someone that's all of those things to a degree that no living entity can achieve, that's Bhagavan. And that's extremely attractive. It is the most attractive. Therefore, Krishna is what? All attractive. Because he's Bhagavan. Aishvaryasya, he has all opulence. Samagrasya, Viryasya, he's strong, he's powerful, he's tough, he's predominating. Yashasya, he's very famous. Shriya, and extremely beautiful. Like the word Shriya is used in today's verse, talking about the Shriya Kundala, the beautiful earrings that the woman who was wandering in that garden that Paranjana had encountered, and he was hitting on her. He wanted to enjoy her. So he was hitting on her. Your hair looks like you don't have a husband. Do you need a husband? You look like you could use a husband. I myself am a qualified candidate. Yeah, Kundala, Shriya. Kundala means earrings. So if you're all familiar with Karna, you know who Karna is? So he's actually one of the sons of Kunti from the demigods, because she had the mantra by which she could call the demigods. It was given to her by Durvasa Muni. So the first one was Karna, but she wasn't married, and so it was like kind of like Moses putting the basket on the river and all that kind of thing. And he was found by a charioteer's wife. So he was born with this particular physical characteristics because he's an extraordinary empowered personality and a great Kshatriya. Kundala and Kavacha, he had a natural armor that he was born with, and Kundala, earrings. So this is also what we see there. And then he was asked to give those up. I forget the whole pastime, but he did. He willingly gave those, and because he was actually a better fighter, a bowman than Arjuna. He was superior to Arjuna. He was his older brother. But he took shelter not with the Pandavas, but with their mortal enemies, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana and company. So, but at one point he gave up his kavacha, and then that made him vulnerable to be defeated in the battle of Kurukshetra. So those who are Mahabharata freaks know these stories very well. I'm not so expert. That never was my focus. But I have known devotees who are Mahabharata experts, and they know every detail of every story and every twist and turn of the drama. And Mahabharata is extremely dramatic and is extremely detailed in those pastimes. Of course, the Mahabharata is very attractive because of all those stories and all that drama and nobility and Kshatriya life and heroism and power and all those Kshatriya things. You know, Bhagavad Gita talks about the qualities of a Kshatriya: heroism, power, determination, charity. So it's all very noble and wonderful culture, and it's very attractive for ordinary people to hear that. But the real reason that Mahabharata is called the fifth Veda is because the Bhagavad Gita is set within it, one chapter, 700 verses, within the battle of Kurukshetra. So anyway, that Kundala which is mentioned in today's verses there with Karna. And it was very frustrating for Karna because he was not with his family, the Pandavas, and he never got his rightful glories. He was always, he was a charioteer's son. That's who found him. So he wasn't even a bona fide Kshatriya. Charioteer's not a Kshatriya, he's a Shudra, a horse driver, like stagecoach driver in the Old West. Giddy up. So it was always frustrating for him because he was seen as lower class. And he's always trying to prove himself because really he was possessed of superior ability. He was better than Arjuna, but by circumstance he had to be defeated because he was on the wrong side. Anyway, so the whole Mahabharata is meant to deliver Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. Plus it's filled with many of Krishna's Leela that he has with the Pandavas and the Kauravas, like that. Let's see what time it is. All right. So, on the more technical side, which Prabhupada deals with in the purport, he's talking about the senses and their sense objects and how the living entity's intelligence, which is also one of the material elements, Ahankara ite me bina prakritirastadha. Krishna talks about the 8 material elements in the Bhagavad Gita. So earth, water, fire, air, ether are the gross material elements, and then the subtle material elements are mind, intelligence, and false ego. Those are material elements. We think the mind and intelligence is like it's pure spirit, but it is not. It's a material element which covers the pure self, covers the pure spirit. But of all the material elements, the closest one to the soul is the intelligence. And Prabhupada says that intelligence is like the next door neighbor to the soul. So when that intelligence is used in the service of Krishna, then that intelligence becomes purified and no longer material, but imbued with the spiritual quality of the nature of the self, Krishna's spiritual energy. So in the 10th chapter, Krishna talks about this. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, jena mamupayanti te. To those who are devoted to serving me with love, I give them I give them buddhi yogam tam, spiritual intelligence, buddhi yoga, not ordinary buddhi, but buddhi yoga, connected spiritual intelligence. You can hear Parikshit having a good time out there. I've never seen anyone enjoy like that guy. Dadami buddhi yogam tam, jena mamupayanti te. And when one's spiritual intelligence is awakened as a gift from Krishna, then jena mamupayanti te. Upayanti means to come closer. Just like we see the word, the Upanishads. So the Upanishads, that means to come closer to spiritual knowledge through the instructions contained within those works, like the Isha Upanishad, and especially the Katha Upanishad and the what's that other one? Kena Upanishad, Katha and Kena. Many wonderful verses Prabhupada quotes from those works. So Upanishad means to come closer by sitting, come closer to spiritual knowledge. So yena mam upayanti te. You want to come closer to Krishna. We all want to come closer to Krishna, right? Well, to those who are constantly devoted to serving Krishna with love, then Krishna, he reciprocates by giving spiritual intelligence, and that spiritual intelligence assists us in coming closer to Krishna. Therefore, we hear in Prabhupada's preaching that if you take one step toward Krishna, he takes 10 steps towards you. So that's a 10 to 1. It's like if you invest $1, you get back $10. You invest $10, you get back 100. You invest 100, you get back 1,000. You invest 1,000, you get back 10,000. It's a good investment. I want to put my money there, right? So that our investment in going toward Krishna by surrendering and serving him with love, it's reciprocated to the power of 10. So we take one step toward Krishna. Krishna takes 10 steps towards us. We go, Krishna goes, he gets that much closer to us. Of course, sometimes what happens to a devotee when he realizes that Krishna just took 10 steps towards him, he turns around and runs as fast as he can. Or at least let me back up a few steps. Woo, woo. You know, they say if Krishna loves you, if Krishna likes you, he gives you everything. If he loves you, he takes everything away. So slow down on the love there, brother.
So much.
Yeah, it's a little too much love. How about some of that like? You know, if he likes you, he gives you everything. Okay, I like you, you can like me, and I'll take it. But that is not actually the mood or the process of bhakti, is to want to get stuff. We see that mood in contemporary commercial Christian culture. You know, if you give $1 to the preacher man on TV, then he'll bless you, and then you'll get all your material desires fulfilled in the forms of money and car, house, and all good sense gratification. That's not philosophy. That's foolosophy. That's rascalism. Actually, God, you become my order supplier. You supply me. Me serves you? No. You serve me. Because I want this, I want that, I want to enjoy my life. So God, give it to me. I want it. I want it now, and I want it all. But that is not bhakti. That's not pure devotional service. No, you serve love with Krishna, and Krishna, he turns on the light in your heart. Jnana-dipena bhashrata. He lights up the darkness that's there in the core of our heart with the lamp, the shining lamp of knowledge. And then we can see clearly everything. So that's the characteristic or quality of a Vaishnava. He can see what is real, what is illusion, what is to be done, and what is not to be done. One who is actually a real Vaishnava, that is their platform of existence. That is no small thing. That is no cheap thing. So therefore, generally, amongst the Vaishnavas, one does not claim to be a Vaishnava, but one claims to be the servant of the Vaishnavas or an aspiring Vaishnava. I want to become a real Vaishnava, and I'm trying to surrender, and then I'm begging at the same time, Krishna, help me to become a real Vaishnava. Yasyasya bhakti bhagavati akinchana. Savarganas tata samasate suraha. That one who has unflinching bhakti to the lotus feet of Krishna, savarganas, all the good qualities, tatra samasate suraha. Samasate suraha means of all the demigods, all the good qualities that the demigods have, and they, they're not like a, bunch of street punks, like, down on the corner, the demigods. No, they're very elevated in terms of knowledge, religion, culture. They're very high class, very pious, elevated personalities. So all the good qualities that they naturally possess, living in that atmosphere of the heavenly planets, those become manifest in the person of one who is a devotee of Krishna. So, but we don't try to take advantage of that and say, well, if it automatically manifests, that means I have to do a gall darn thing. We just sit back, chant Hare Krishna, and let it happen. But actually, there's more to it than that. you also have to strive to serve Krishna, to become a devotee. It's not a cheap or easy thing. Prabhupada says when one is selling diamonds, one has very few customers. The customers that one has are the ones who are qualified because they have the money, they can pay. So the diamond merchant is only selling to the people with buku bucks. It's not selling to the ordinary persons. But no, only those who are qualified by having the money, by being rich, which is generally understood that if you're rich, then you've had some punya, good karma, that you did some kind of work, perhaps in a previous life. If you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, well, you didn't have a silver spoon in your mouth last life, but you worked for it. So there's this concept. Of course, Krishna is mercifully is giving everything, far more than we deserve. But we also have to take some responsibility upon our own heads and strive to, as Spike Lee said, do the right thing. You have to do the right thing. And the right thing is to give up your sense gratification and serve Krishna and work hard. Be willing to struggle with the demons that are within. There are demons within us. Those demons are our desires for profit, fame, adoration, distinction, to enjoy sense gratification, and have the good material life. We all have those desires in our hearts. They're like demons that plague us, or ghosts that haunt us. So they have to be exorcised. So we have to join the health club of Bhakti Yoga in order to get in some good exorcise our demons. Whereas ordinarily the health club, they're trying to exorcise their fat or their sloth or whatever it is. So Bhakti Yoga, the club is the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, and we're exorcising our anartas, anarta nivritti shat. That is one of the stages of devotional service, where the unwanted things are eliminated. It is taking place automatically by practicing bhakti, but still we have to be also willing and attentive participants in the process. And so we have to be willing to do what it takes. And sometimes what it takes is not what we thought it was going to take, but it's actually, we're being asked a lot of to become real Vaishnavas. When we think of a real Vaishnava, we think of Srila Prabhupada. There's a Vaishnava, a great devotee, cultured, elevated, always thinking of Krishna, never interested in sense gratification. So, but we have signed up for our membership here in the Bhakti Yoga Health Club, and we're aspiring to come up to the healthy platform of pure devotional service. And as far as the senses are concerned, which we're hearing about here in today's purport, the senses and the sense objects, there's a nice verse from the Narada Pancharatra, which is also quoted in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the 19th chapter of Madhya Lila, and it's also quoted in the Nectar of Devotion, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and it's the 12th verse of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, 1.1.12. And it's a very famous verse. Sarvapadi vanirmuktam tat paratvaina nirmalam rishikesha sevanim bhakti uchate. So it gives a definition of pure devotional service. Sarvopadi vanirmuktam. Upadis are designations or coverings of the self. So sarva means all. Sarva upadi Vinirmuktam. Mukta means liberation. And the Vinirmukta is like an intensification of the word mukta, Vinirmukta. So one has to become free from all designations, material designations. I am this body. I am from some town in Arizona or wherever it is. I'm a product of a certain material family. I am man, I am woman, I am white, black, all these things are upadhis. They're designations, but they're artificial. They have nothing to do with the soul. So sarvopadi vinirmuktam, give up your attachment to the material designations. I told the story before. I was renewing my driver's license in Florida, and I was living in a tiny, insignificant piece of junk town called La Crosse. And then I was getting my Florida license. I had my birth certificate, which says Camden, South Carolina, another insignificant, lowly place in the universe. And the black guy was so funny, the driver's license office. He was going over the documents and everything, and he goes, "Don't tell anybody you're from South Carolina. Don't tell anybody you live in La Crosse." Of course, he was living in a glorious Gainesville, so, very elevated place. Go Gators. But those are upadhis. I remember there was a boy, I was living in downtown Alachua. A friend of mine had bought a house there, but it's a big old house. And he rented out some rooms, and then he had a boy there. He wasn't really a devotee, but he was doing some work for him. And he was talking about the football team, the Gators. And he kept saying, well, he's talking about the football team, well, he's not on the football team. But he's had that upadhi, that designation that I'm from this place and this is my team, and therefore it's we. So we do this and they do that. So we were driving down towards the Sachem, but then they did this. It was we and they, I, me, them. It was all upadhi. He was like absorbed in upadhi loka. Where are you from? I'm from upadhi loka. What do they do there in upadhi loka? They continuously misidentify themselves as all material products, the mind, the body, the place. Like that verse recently came up. Boma ijadi, the one who's like a cow or an ass, he thinks D means is to have the consciousness or to think. Boma ija D. Boma, the place that I am born, ija, it is worshipable. Why is it worshipable? Because I have taken my birth there. And I am wonderful. So that place becomes wonderful by me taking birth there. Of course, we understand that Krishna appears in Mathura and Vrindavan. So there are wonderful holy places. Those are Krishna's places. But not for regular Joe, who's like a cow or an ass because he thinks that the place he took birth or the family he took birth in or the house he lives, it's all glorious because it's him. That's that upadhi. That's upadhi loka. So where are you from, man? I'm from upadhi loka. But what's that like? In upadhi loka, we completely identify with the body, and everyone thinks they're the body, and everyone thinks they're the mind, and everyone thinks it's a wonderful place because we are there, and it is ours. So this boy was talking about the football team. We, as if somehow he was the football team. I and we. I am the football team. That is me. So sarvopadi vinirmuktam, when I say give up those designations. Tatparatvaina nirmalam, rishikena, rishikesha. That one has to engage one's rishika, the senses, and the service of the master of the senses, Rishikena. So you have to use your senses in the service of Rishikesh, the master of the senses. Sevanim Bhaktir Uttama. Sevanim Bhaktir Uchate. And that is pure devotional service. That is called devotional service. So everything we do with our senses is meant to be engaged in the service of the master of the senses, Krishna. Not for our sense gratification, but for the pleasure of Krishna. And that will automatically include our own edification. And by the way, if you surrender to and serve Krishna, all your desires will be fulfilled in wonderful ways that you would have never dreamed possible. This is a fact. That all the desires that you've ever had that you wanted to be fulfilled will be perfectly fulfilled and satisfied in ways that you could have never even dreamed were possible. It's just not even imaginable. For example, if you become a pure devotee of Krishna, when you become a pure devotee of Krishna, then you will go back home, back to Godhead. And just imagine all your desires, all your spiritual desires within, how they would be fulfilled in the spiritual world. It's unimaginable. That's an unimaginable thing for us because we're so much encased in our upadhi-like existence, animal-like existence, thinking about these petty desires. But when those are washed away and then the real desires of the soul come forth, Krishna fulfills all those desires. What is Krishna's favorite thing to do? Herd the cows. Yes, it's Radharani. Krishna's thing that he loves to do the most is to fulfill the desires of his devotees. That is what awaits you on this path of Krishna consciousness. It may take a while. Not tomorrow. It may take a little longer than that. It may take a few days. But it will happen by the grace of Krishna. And therefore, the definition of a Vaishnava is Mahatmanas tu mam partha Daivim Prakritim Ashritaha, one who has taken shelter at Krishna's lotus feet. Daivim Prakritim, Krishna's divine energy, his internal spiritual energy. One who takes shelter there, that is a devotee, that is a Mahatma. Sa Mahatma Sadurlabhaha. We don't see too many of those as we go to the store and around town and do our life. We don't run into a lot of those, but they're here at Krishna's lotus feet. All right, so we'll stop there. Questions, comments, realizations?
So you were talking about the power of prasadam and sometimes, like our customers, sometimes they don't understand that. And I was reflecting on our customers just yesterday about how, a lot of our customers are older and if anyone's ever seen like those shows with Gordon Ramsay where he goes and like saves the restaurants, usually like that's a bad sign, right? That your customers are all older because they're going to die off and then you're not bringing in the younger people. And I was reflecting on that. I'm like, I wonder if that should be of concern to us. But then I realized like, no, because these people are then bringing in their younger family members and their friends and stuff. And like our customers really, I've worked in a lot of restaurants and I've never seen so many regular customers. Like these people come sometimes every day, at least every week. And that's like the majority of our customers are regulars. And
they're devoted.
Yeah, they're just.
Dami Buddhi Yogam Tam. Yena Mamupiyantite.
Yeah.
And by the way, those old people die off. There's plenty more old people coming up to fill their shoes.
Yeah.
Including ourselves.
they're just devotees of prasadam, and it's so wonderful. And there was a young woman that came yesterday. She was from the Czech Republic, I believe, and it was her first time, here, and she seemed, kind of a little unsure when she came in, and then after she sat down and ate, all of a sudden it was like she came alive. She was just like, oh my gosh, it was so great. And she's telling me all about her trip she's been taking across, the US and everything. And then Uncle S came in and gave her a Gita, and I was just thinking, like, how fortunate for this young lady, to be traveling through the US, and I asked her how she found out about us, and she said she was on like an app or a website. It's called like couchsurfing.com or something that like helps you find places to crash.
Mhm.
And the guy whose couch she's renting or let her stay, he was a vegan, and he told her, oh, go to this place. And so, it's not a guy that ever comes to our services or anything, but he's devoted to our prasadam, and he's now telling people that come and rent
He's
his
preaching
couch.
Govindas.
Yeah.
He's preaching Krishna consciousness. Just see the auspiciousness created by this effort to serve Krishna.
Mm.
And and a lot of young people do come here, by the way, as
They do.
well. I see plenty.
Yeah.
All right, and Sureshwar Prabhu, you have a...
Well, it's 9. But I wonder if you could give an example from your own life of how Krishna has fulfilled your desire beyond your wildest dreams, even in this life. Let him say it.
Sorry.
Don't put words in my mouth.
To be continued.
Well, I always wanted to live in a perfect place with wonderful people and great food and good atmosphere. And here we are. That was something I wanted. I used to think when I was young, there'd be some island like Fiji and, palm trees. Well, we got the palm trees. Swaying in the breeze. Yeah, we get some gale force winds here. So the perfection of association, the perfection of living, the happiness of living a fulfilled life in Krishna consciousness. I never would have had that without Krishna consciousness, without Krishna. Never would have had it. I'd just have been a miserable, anxiety-filled schmuck, struggling to, live. Have a decent place to live. So, just see. That's an example. And every devotee has their story, how they become fulfilled through practicing bhakti in surprising ways that we never actually would have dreamed of before. We certainly never dreamed that we would achieve perfection and happiness in life by giving up sense gratification. We would not have understood that. But now we're experiencing it. So, that is going on. All right, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.